Before we start this program, we want to talk about the land we are on here at the Everett Library. The people of the Tulalip tribes and their ancestors, the Shahopes people, live here and are an important part of this community. They are our neighbors, our classmates, our friends and teachers. We live, learn, and play in a place that has been their home since before we can remember. They are the first people to live in this area. We are grateful for the opportunities to learn from and with them. It is our promise to create and continue this lasting friendship that supports everyone's right to be fully recognized, included, and appreciated. And I'd like to invite Johnny Moses to say what I just said in the language of the Shahopes people.
O chalab til to daha dubstus to your colored to mulchus tweety, his tails, allow culture butili helbo. Daha dubstus, o titia potia.
Thank you very much. Johnny Moses has been one of my favorite storytellers since I first learned that storytelling was a thing. He tells traditional stories of the Salish Sea region and beyond. He tells in many languages. He makes us laugh. He makes us think. And he is so, so welcome to tell stories with us today. Please raise your hands and welcome Johnny Moses.
Thank you, Daha Dubstu. We always sing a song. My sister will help me sing. And this is a potlatch song. The word potlatch comes from the Chinook language, but the English couldn't say was pashel in the Chinook, pashel. But the English couldn't say that, so they called it potlatch. And that's how we got the word potlatch. It was mispronounced. And when we're done singing the song, we'd like all the boys and the men to say, "Oh."
And all the ladies say, "Ee!"
When we're done singing. Oh, 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 hey, 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 oh, hey, 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 oh, Thank you. Oh.
And we do invite listeners to unmute because we want to hear you.
Yes. In storytelling, we call it Siyaho in Snohomish or Tulalip area. And the people ask you to, or the storytellers ask you to say Habu, depending on which tribe you're from in Tulalip tribes. And some of the Snoqualmies, they say Hamakawich. So we'll be learning some new words, and that means we're listening. So don't forget to say Habu when I stop talking. You're letting me know you're listening. And this is a story of Lady Louse. We call her Bushchud. You know, that creepy crawly thing that could get in your hair if you don't keep it clean. Well, that's lice or louse. And this is a story of Lady Louse. And remember all the characters, the trees, the rocks, animals, everyone's considered a being, a person. Slightly a long time ago, there lived Lady Louse.
Habu.
Habu.
She lived in a real big house.
Abu.
She had no friends or relatives.
Abu.
Her house was very, very dirty.
Abu.
Everything all piled up in her house. She was like a pack rat.
Abu.
One day she had an idea, so she took it and she swept it. When she got to the very middle of her house,
Abu.
when she got to the very middle of her house, she got lost.
Abu.
And some people say she got lost in her dirt. What's so entertaining about that? Remember, everything is a symbol. You can get lost in your computer or your telephone. Here's I would like all of you, if you're called to, create your own Lady Louse or Mr. Louse story. And here's a Lady Louse story I heard a long time ago in 1976. And this will be told in the Hautkamelan language that's spoken there in Vancouver, British Columbia. And this Lady Louse is a sponge. Nicht sponge.
Abu.
Oh, I forgot. It's a different language. So you'll be saying Ines.
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 Yes. Nicht oh, long ago, back in 1976, there lived Lady Louse.
Ines.
Nicht sponge. And Lady Louse, she was a sponge.
Ines.
One day she decided to jump in the river.
Ines.
When she jumped in the water, she became self-absorbed.
Ines.
And that is all. So I bet a lot of you have a Lady Louse or Mr. Louse story. Here's a story I'd like to share about the cedar baskets. And this is the story of the cedar root baskets. So this, when you hear this story, our people made cedar root baskets, spruce root. And so this is the story of long ago. This will be told in the Spokane language, is spoken in Eastern Washington. And if you're listening to this story, can you say Ani?
Ani.
And that means, oh my. Limslu utput kaunatin stutil quilensen.
Ani.
Long ago, there lived this girl.
Ani.
They used to call her Ayayash girl, which means stupid and lazy.
Ani.
She lived with her Katla, her grandma. And she'd just be sleeping, leaning on the grandma's cedar tree. And grandma got tired,
Ani.
always yelling at her granddaughter.
Ani.
Hey, why don't you wake up and do something? Look for a husband or something. Because she would just move so slowly and was always having to rest. She would crawl. That's how she walked. She just crawled. She was just, for a few minutes, sleep for several hours, wake up again for a few minutes, and that's how she traveled.
Ani.
Ani.
Kulimslut. Grandmother says, why don't you get out of here and move out? Look for a husband. Kulimslut, you've only been living at home for 35 years.
Ani.
Ani.
And the IIS girl, stupid lazy girl, would say, oh, I'm so tired.
Ani.
I can't do that. And grandma would yell again, yes, you can. Make yourself do something.
Ani.
Ani.
And IIS girl would just say, okay.
Ani.
Ani.
Kulimslu utul. There, Granny yelled at her, hey, la kulimsus, dig in the ground, look for roots.
Ani.
Ani.
Kulimsus, and she found the roots, she pulled the roots out, the cedar roots. There, Katla, Granny told her, Kulim, feel the wind when it moves in a circle. That's why you make your basket.
Ani.
Ani.
Kulimslu, didn't she do that? And when she finished her basket,
Ani.
you give your first basket away. So she tried to give it to Grandma, and Grandma looked at it and she says, that's a basket? Did you have a nightmare?
Ani.
Ani.
Says, take it apart and do it all over again. And important things happen 4 times in our culture. So she went crawling down the mountain, Kulimsluten there working on the basket. And Granny says, if it's a real good basket, you won't, you gotta have no cracks or openings in your basket.
Ani.
Ani.
Kulimsluten, she'd make the basket the first time. She dipped it in the river. Water's just gushing out. Coming
Ani.
out of the cracks and everything. Lutz was there the second time. She redone the basket. Third time, put the best. Oh, this is too much work.
Ani.
And then finally, the 4th time, she took down the basket. And she tested it, dipped it in the river. This time, the basket could hold water. Oh, she got excited. There she carried the basket to Grandma's cedar tree. And she says, I finished my basket. And there the Katla said, I'm going to change your name. You showed that you're very industrious, and your name will be the basket, the cedar root basket. And Kulimslu Utpunutul, the old people say, if it wasn't for that Ayayesh girl, that stupid, lazy girl, we wouldn't know how to make these beautiful baskets. And that is all. Okay, let's see. This next story I'd like to share with you is has more animals in it and animal people. And I'll tell this in the Nootka or Nuu-chah-nulth language. And if you're listening, can you say Eklel? Eklel. Mhm. And if you have a hard time saying that, you could just say Keklel, Keklel, or Eklel,
Go.
which means we are listening. Eklel. Long ago, the animal people used to talk to one another and say, don't go to the beach when the tide is way out, because that mean old thing lives out there, the tishloop. Can you say tishloop?
Tissue.
Yeah, like
Tishloop.
tissue and loop together. That's tishloop.
Tishloop.
That's the octopus lady. Go out there. And so everybody would listen to each other, except there was a Mr. Know-it-all, and he'd talk to himself and he'd say,
Those animal people don't know nothing. I know everything.
"Eklel,
Clel.
elechachit ekler." There, and they called this bird, this bird, the crow. Cat, cat. Can you say cat, cat? Yeah,
Yeah,
cat. No,
yeah.
yeah, not caca. But anyway, as close as you can. Cat, cat. Yeah.
Cat, cat.
Very good. So anyway, that was crow. There.
Clel.
There you went over to Klaus, Mosquito Man's house, and Mosquito Man began to talk to Crow. And there, this is what Mosquito Man would say. And the crow would say,
I know.
Eklel.
Clel.
Then he went to the next house. There he went to Bear Man's house, and Bear Man would say, "Well, don't go to the beach because octopus man in it there." And Crow would say,
I know.
Clow.
Clel.
"Hey, little chitty." He went to the next house, went to Flea Man's house, but Flea Man's house is really tiny. So he just peeked through the doorway, and this is what Flea Man said to Crow. And the crow would say,
I know.
Clow.
Clel.
The last house he got to was Banana Slug. And Banana Slug, everything was big a long time ago. So this must have been a Slugosaurus. And she lived in a really long house. And there, cat entered the house and he slid right to the front of Yaka. Can you say Yaka?
Yeah.
Rare Banana Slug. She started talking and to the cat. And this is what Banana Slug would say. This is what Banana Slug would say in English. And Crow would say, wiping his face,
I know.
Cow.
"Hey, look at this." There, of course, Crow went to the beach. The tide started going out. There, he noticed in the sand, in one of the little holes, bubbles, bubbles, bubbles were coming out of this water. There he went to look. This big, huge head popped out of the hole. And there, who do you think that might have been? The Tishloop octopus lady. She was so happy to see the the crow, and she would say, "Oh, it's nice to see you, Crow." And Crow would say, "I know."
Cloud.
Then every time Crow would say, "I know," the water start coming back in, the tide come in, and it would rise. And Octopus Lady would put another arm around Crow and say some nice things like, "Ooh, you are really handsome, Crow." And Crow would say, "I know." And she put another arm around. "Ooh, you smell really nice, Crow." And Crow would say, "I know." And the water would rise a little bit higher. Is your water? This is sign language. For the water rise a little bit. Oh, Crow would say,
Shwaka. We're not tasteless. When are we gonna eat?
and Octopus Lady put another arm around Crow and she'd say, "We're going to eat pretty soon." And Crow would say, as the water rose a little bit more, he'd say,
I
"Oh." Oh, he was getting so impatient. He was hungry. Hey, look at, he yelled at the Kawatikla at the Tishloop. He said,
Shwaka. What else? I'm hungry right now. What are we gonna eat?
and Octopus Lady put her last arm around Crow and she said, "You are the dinner, Crow." Poor Crow, the water was way up here to its chin. And the Crow would say,
I know.
"Is that is all." Okay, and so that was like the animal people story. Oh, okay. Here's a really funny story that about about the scabia. Scabia is a skunk, and the skunk has very special medicine power. And this is a story about this particular skunk. And the skunk used to live in Everett, but I think he went back to Tulalip. I'm not sure. No. There's a whole bunch of them. So if you're listening, I'll share this more in the Skabach language or Skykomish language. And they say Hamokawich. Can you say Hamokawich?
Couch.
Yeah, Hamokawich means we are listening. Al turi tu hawk to Bulkalal a long time ago. There was this big, powerful medicine man. He always just to brag about his power. Oh, my power, my information is very, very important.
Couch.
And there he would go around and he'd convince people to fix up their house. He'd tell them, "Oh, just plug up all the cracks and holes in your house. And my message is very, very secretive and important. I can't have just anybody listen to my important teaching."
Couch.
So he'd get those people to fix their house up, and they sealed it. He told them, "Close the door, seal it. Now, is everybody ready for my important message?"
Couch.
He turned around slowly.
I'm a couch.
Couch.
As he turned around, facing the people that were in the house. Can you say spoopody?
Spooty.
Spooty.
That's the fart power. And that fart power filled the house. But everybody died.
Oh my gosh.
Well, this skunk got carried away. People fixing their house, and then he'd share his very important message, his pupudi. Well, he got carried away and became a psychosomatic fart killer.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, he almost wiped out a lot of people on the coast. So he decided to go over the mountains, eastern Washington.
Oh my God.
Courage.
The people there lived in mound houses, and the entrance was always on the top.
Oh my
Courage.
gosh.
The two mole grannies they heard the message from long ways from all the animals. Very important visitor coming, very powerful Indian doctor.
Courage.
And the two old grannies, they looked at each other and they start laughing.
Oh my gosh.
Which means
We're gonna fix that. That skunk, he thinks he's so powerful.
Oh my gosh.
horrible teachers. So the two mole grannies, they were heating the rocks and making a nice red hot teachers. And skunk would always announce who he was. I'm the very powerful Indian doctor. I have a very important message. Are you ready for my message?
Oh my God.
Courage.
Oh my gosh.
Two mole grannies says,
We're ready for you now. You can come on down.
and so as he came down, they grabbed him on both sides, and pulled him down and sat him on the hot rocks.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
The old people say, cauterized, you know what, is spupuri, and he used to have a really big hole long ago, and that's why he's got a tiny hole, and he only could do a little of that stuff. He can't kill nobody with his fart power anymore.
Oh my God.
I guess we'll be
Keep going.
okay. This story I'd like to share with you is one of my favorites of the grandmother cedar tree. And I will share it in the Samish language. It's spoken in the San Juan Islands from Orcas Island. All the Samish people lived there, and there were Samish people who lived in the mainland too, near Samish Island. But anyway, long ago, there lived a very tall grandma cedar tree. And you can say, E Naweth.
Ye know it.
E Naweth. Yeah. And that last part, E Naweth. You'll feel air coming out of the side. First, you put your tongue at the roof of your mouth and you go, and if you feel air coming out of the side of your lips, whatever, and you know you're doing it right. That's why you see our people go like this or when they welcome you, but they're also protecting themselves from everybody spitting. She was very tall, this grandma cedar tree, and she became sad and lonely.
Ye know it.
As she felt like she was drowning in her sorrow. And every time I share that part of the story, how many ever heard of Frida Kahlo? Yeah, she was a beautiful artist, but she also was a beautiful poet. And one of my favorite poems was, she used to say that, I drink to drown my sorrows, but the damn things I've learned how to swim. And that's the way Grandma Cedar Tree must have felt, drowning in her sorrow. Oteotis, the Great Spirit, could feel her sorrow. This is the sorrow, sadness, and loneliness. Loneliness, closed palm and open hand. And so he sent the Quetelis of the great universe, the creator, sent the baby seed, and was the grandson of Grandma Cedar Tree.
You know.
And there her tears of sorrow became tears of joy and nourished the grandson, and he began to grow. And he grew tall, but he was kind of skinny and thin. Nicoletus, as he grew his leaves, Smythe, the deer, loved to chew on the branches. But grandmother moved her arms back and forth. Are you moving your arms back and forth? Scare the negativity away. And there, it feels so good. He grows some more. Are you growing? And there, sometimes the heat, the sunlight would make his skin burn. Sitla, grandmother would put her arms over her grandson and give him shade. Are you putting some shade over somebody? It feels so good. It grows some more. You know it.
You know it.
You know,
His teeth, you know it. Just gone out. And the north wind could come. It was so strong. He was thin and he felt like he could break. But grandmother would put her arms around her grandson and protect him from the strong north wind. Are you putting your arms around someone? And if it takes us, he'd feel so good. He grows some more. Are we growing? This is to know that sometimes grandson felt sad and lonely. Sila, grandma could feel her grandson's sadness and loneliness. And she sent her strong mind, it's a strong mind, you got strong mind? Strong mind. And she sent it out to the forest land and she called the birds of many kinds. And they came and landed on her strong arms and they sang beautiful songs for the grandson and carried his loneliness and sorrow away. He felt so good, he couldn't grow up anymore farther, so he started growing this way. We call it old growth. There, time passed on. Grandmother became so weak and tired. She says, oh, there's no use living anymore. My grandson's probably tired of me, the only one to talk to. I'm so tired, my work is done.
You know it.
you know,
Well, grandson said, grandmother, you protected me and you chased the animals away. Grandma, I got strong arms now. I got strong arms and I will move them back and forth, scare the negativity away.
You know.
you know,
And grandma would feel a little bit better. And there she said, grandmother, when the north wind came, did you not put your arms around me? And grandma, I got strong arms. I'll put them around you. Are you putting your arms around someone? And she felt so good. She wanted to live a little more. And the grandmother, when the sun was burning my skin, did you not put your arms over me and give me shade? Grandma, I got strong arms. Good strong arms. And I will put them over you and give you shade. And she felt so loved. Newish's grandmother, when I was sad and lonely, did you not use your strong mind? Grandma, I have a strong mind now. Get a strong mind? And I will send it out to the forest land and call the birds, many kinds, and they will come. And they will land on my strong arms and they'll sing for you and carry your loneliness and sorrow away.
Nawis.
Ní titnas tewichtan, Sila, grandmother, you took care of me. Now I will take care of you. And that is all.
Nawis.
10 minutes, okay. All right. Let's see. There's so many stories to tell. And maybe I'll tell you this one. It's a story that's about an Indian who used to have a nice horse. And I'll share this in the Samish language. They say, Inawel,
Nawis.
Inawel. You know, a long time ago, everything happened a long time ago. Nothing ever happens now. You know it. Then back in the olden days, then the pioneers and Indians, they used to actually get along, you know. Well, there was this one old pioneer white man, he'd be walking there, walking. He'd always pass this old Indian man's house. And this old Indian man, they would record and greet each other. And he noticed that the old man had a fine looking horse.
Nawis.
And he says, boy, that's a nice horse. He went over and they tried to bargain. Much will you sell that horse? And the old Indian would just say, horse don't look so good. And the white man would say, you got to sell me that horse. And finally, the old Indian got tired of arguing. And he says, okay, took the money that the white man gave him. And then he took the horse. When he brought the horse to the barn there, he threw it some hay and the horse just stood there.
Nawis.
He threw it some more hay and the horse just stood there.
Nawis.
He went over to the horse and he started waving his hand in front of the horse's face like this. And the horse just stood there.
Nawis.
There, that white man, he got so mad. That old Indian, he sold me a blind horse.
Nawis.
He brought the horse back to the old Indian and he stayed with his stitches. He says, how come you sold me this blind horse? And the old Indian said, well, I tried to tell you, horse don't look so good. And that is all. I'm so grateful to be able to share the stories with you, the legends. In the stories, my grandma and grandpa raised me, and so I got to hear stories all the time. We didn't have the radio all the time. And but where we live, we'd hear different elders telling us stories. And one of the most important teachings I learned from this wonderful storytelling was my grandma or my grandpa. They would say to us, I tell you these stories because I love you. And that was always such a wonderful blanket of love and friendship from our elders. My grandparents lived a long time. My grandmother lived to 113 and grandpa was 108. And my grandmother drove a car until she was 112. She didn't have no driver's license or nothing. And she loved to speed. And my grandpa would get mad at her. You better get a driver's license. The police are gonna give you a ticket or arrest you and throw away the key. You better learn how to read and write. She didn't know how to read and write either. And my grandpa was educated and he knew how to read and write. And after he was done preaching to my grandma would stand there and she'd say, well, you're so well educated and you know so much. How come you have 5 traffic tickets and I don't even have one? They were such wonderful people. They're always encouraging us and be good to other people, be kind to people. My grandmother would tell us, if you were to talk more than listen, the Great Spirit would have gave you 2 mouths instead of 2 ears. That's one of the sayings that they used to tell us in important things like don't get discouraged. If someone looking at you with a mean look or whatever snotty look, the reason why they're looking like that because they got dirty underwear on. And the other teaching my grandmother used to share was, some people think their poop don't stink, but their fart gives them away. And that's old granny teaching. But I thank each and every one of you for listening and tell these stories. I also have a website.
Johnny, if you ever want to look at more about Johnny and more stories, he's got some videos on his website, and it's johnnymoses.com. And we also have CDs and DVDs for sale. There's one DVD that helps to support the Duwamish Longhouse in Seattle, and it's the Chief Seattle Teachings. So visit his website. There's a lot of fun information on there, and there's a lot of good teachings too.
I'm on YouTube too.
Yeah.
You are. And Johnny, we have been recording the session today and also the one yesterday. We will process it and put it up on YouTube. And of course, we will send you the link so that you can share it with your friends. To all of our listeners, I thank you so much for joining us today. The Everett Library is always thrilled to host storytellers like Johnny Moses. You can visit our website at epls.org. And we thank you once again, Haishka, to Johnny Moses for telling stories and sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you very much, listeners, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Hi, Chico.
Hi, Chico.